So the sun just went down a little bit ago. It's not quite dark yet though. It's still quite a bit of light. And so I'm just gonna move out here. This is just outside where the garage workshop is. And so there's a lot of kind of warm light coming through there. So I'm gonna use that as part of the background so I can kind of balance that ambient light, that kind of street light, like if you were at a park or something like that, with the light that we just made, so that we can get that balance, you know, between the two. So it's not quite dark yet, but we're gonna go ahead and try to get started because for the other video to be able to see as we're moving around using the light, we might need a little bit more ambient light, and we'll just keep going as it starts to get darker. So I'm just gonna grab the first one that we made, and again, here's the flashlight, right? So if I just pointed the flashlight at me, like there's a really bright spot, right? That's really horrible, right? And so what we wanna be able to do is utilize some of that softness. So I'm gonna go grab the first light that we started with and get it turned on. You can see, you know, now it's, you know, illuminating that whole surface, right? And so what we're going to be able to start to do is use this, you know, as a mobile light source, right? And so again, I'm going to get a little bit of that kind of warm color back in there. And, you know, if I don't have anything, there's still enough ambient light. It's not dark yet, right? But what we want to be able to do is start using this so we can start to add light. And so, you know, you'll be able to do this as the photographer. It would just be pointing the other direction. And, you know, if it's towards the front, it's going to create, you know, kind of a frontal butterfly light, right? It's making a nice soft even light. If I move it a little bit over to the side, I can start to create Rembrandt, right? And I can also make it short side if I have that ear showing. You know, I can bring it over this way and create split light, right? Maybe I want it on the opposite side because there's light on that side. You know, so we can kind of move that around. And, you know, whichever way we want. And so just play with that angle too. You know, if I want it to be a little more sinister, you know, I might start to, you know, cheat that back a little bit. Now all of a sudden, you know, the sockets of my eyes start to become really dark. You know, it can be a little bit more, you know, menacing. Or, you know, if we bring it this way, you know, it starts to get flatter, 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 and the light starts looking really soft and even. And then, but if I do start to bring it down and around, you know, now we're starting to get into kind of like monster lighting, you know. So, you know, we can change those angles, and depending on whatever your story is, it's going to vary how you want to utilize that. You know, are we trying to get, you know, scary light kind of monster and campfire lighting, you know, sort of a thing, but it's way softer, right? Compare that to, this is without our bag, right? Oof, gosh, it's, you know, the brightness is so harsh. It just is horrible, right? You know, like if we're just pointing it right at our subject, like that is not flattering at all, right? Compared to when we, you know, place it inside of our little bag, you know, simple solution, but the light is significantly softer and more flattering. And that way, you know, even though we're telling this story and we want it scary, we want to be able to control that. I mean, you know, just the softness quality of it is going to make a huge difference in what we see in our person. Okay, so that's the first one. Let's take a look at one of our other ones. So here was our second one. It was just the big trash bag. And so I'm just going to kind of stuff it in there and kind of hold it with that, you know, with the knot kind of around it. And again, you know, what we want is for this whole thing to kind of get illuminated, right? And so again, you know, if I hold that there, it's making really nice light, right? You know, and again, now we're starting to it's getting a little bit darker tonight. So, you know, we're getting some of that warmth back in the background, but you know, like that light's really flattering, right? I mean, you know, and I can bring it a little more frontal. Again, I can bring it over and make a Rembrandt light if I wanted to. I can make split lighting, you know, we can still do monster lighting with it, right? You know, but then again, you know, or it could even include part of it, you know, like, ooh. The last one that we tried making was with the kind of protein powder. So let's see how that one works. So again, there's my lantern, right? So that's working. And again, you know, I'll come over this way. Let's see if I can get a little bit of that back in the background. You know, and again, you know, that light source, you know, it's creating a nice soft even light. I can bring it down. I can, you know, make it a little more mysterious. You know, I can bring it and do split lighting. I can do Rembrandt. I can do short side Rembrandt. I can do loop, you know, I can do monster lighting. You know, I've got a lot of flexibility, but this light is now really soft and even, as opposed to, you know, that hot spot that the flashlight's getting. And this is just like, you know, little LED flashlight, and it's producing quite a bit of light. And again, it's because of the inverse square law. You know, the closer it is, the brighter it's going to be. You know, it starts to fall off relatively quickly. But because we're doing these portraits, it's pretty close. And so the closer it is, the broader it is, the softer it is. So it's making a really nice light source, you know, for if we needed to be able to illuminate our subject. Now, the other thing that we did was we also played around with, or we made those color gels. So let's just first look at what the color gels are doing. So let's start with red. Red probably seems like a good color for Halloween. So now I just have this directly going through that bag, right? So I can add that color, right? You know, so I've got some red light, or maybe I want some, you know, again, you know, we can play with that, having some of that background, you know, color, you know, so if there are some ambient lights or background lights, we can play around with that. And, you know, and then we've also got the green probably just, you know, not quite as noticeable. We've got the blue, you know, so it's adding that cooling effect, you know, for if we want some warm, cool, or maybe it's like, you know, maybe we're doing something that's about like the Ice Queen, right? And we got snow, you know, something like that. And then again, we can still use this with our other light sources, right? So maybe I want that red, but I want a softer red. So now it's inside of my trash bag, right? So now the trash bag is glowing red. And again, so then I could use that and soften up that light, you know, and create that warmth that maybe we want. You know, and that's just markers on a piece of plastic, but it will work as a color gel. You know, and that way we can kind of play with those colors. Maybe it's going to help tell that story a little bit as you're trying to figure out how you're going to convey the story that you're going to make. So I'm going to experiment a little bit. So I'm letting the light that's actually coming through the garage illuminate this side, so I'm getting some warmth from there. And then I've got the blue on here to create kind of that warm, cool effect. And you see this all the time, like in CSIs and stuff. Like they're always using warm and cool, you know, so it feels like night's coming through there, and then you've got the warmth of inside, like in the inside the cafe or something like that. So we're just using a little bit of that warm and cool, and I'm just using, again, it's that big trash bag that's illuminating in blue, and I've got the blue filter just in front of it, and that way we can kind of get that split color. Again, I can bring that around. I can use that light and just create some like rim lighting and bring this more on the front and just pick up that little bit of light on my face there, you know, create kind of that rim light, you know, or I can stand in front of it and create kind of like a backlighting, you know, so it looks like it's definitely nighttime. So there you have it. That's kind of how we can use these lights. And again, you know, it's going to create a really nice soft light source. We'll have a lot of flexibility. They're cheap. They cost nothing to $1. And we've got portability. You know, they'll give us a lot of flexibility to have nice, soft, even light and be able to control the light. And so, you know, just experiment, try different things, move it around, try, you know, keeping it close, but just out of the frame, look and see what lights are like in the park and those sort of areas, so that you can create some really interesting effects with really no cost at all. And it'll really push our photography, the effects and things that we can create, to a whole nother level, you know, as you're experimenting. So I'm really excited to see what you guys are gonna make, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Ooh.